Hey, it is an unstoppable day. Welcome to another broadcast of Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge. I am your host, Terrance, the Unstoppable Coach Leftridge, and we welcome you to another fabulous episode. So come on in, like and share. Come on in, like and share. And hey, if you are a small business owner and you want to make sure you get all this great information, why not go ahead and start a watch party like Muriel Tulakima is doing out of Australia? Thank you for always supporting us, Muriel, on the Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge show, where we help small businesses move from being stuck into being unstoppable by sharing tools, tips, and strategies from small business owners across the world on how they are using their tips, how they're using their strategies to take their business to the next level. And if you watch and if you pay attention and you take good notes, then you will be on your way of taking your business to the next level as well. We look forward to hearing from all of you guys. We look forward to you sharing this information with your circle of influence. And we want to start out today. We've got a great guest with us today. She is none other than the collection recovery specialist herself. Her name is Dee Bowden with BCS Solutions, and she's going to be joining us shortly on the show. But I just want to make sure that you guys understand that this is so important to what your business is all about. So we're going to be talking about getting that cash, collecting that cash, and how it is the lifeblood of your business if you want to stay in business. But now, before we do that, I want to let you guys everything is trying to act up. There she is. And she's got this great new company, that allows you to sip for a cause. And what is the name of that company? Well, it is Ready, Set, Wine. Ready, Set, Wine. And you can be a part of this great company. If you love wine and if you love helping causes, then this is the perfect way to make it happen, because we are allowing you the opportunity to come on board with us as we sell wine through the One Hope. I'm trying to get it up there. There you go. There you go. This technology loves to do what it wants to do. But through the One Hope wine collection, you can get your favorite wine, and then you can also be supporting a fabulous cause. And this month we are supporting the cause for injustice within our country. So if you go to the website that is on your screen right now for One Hope Wine, you can be a part of Sharon's birthday fundraiser. Yes, she is collecting for the fundraiser to help fight injustice wherever injustice may be. And so you can get your favorite Chardonnay, you can get your favorite Pinot Grillo, or whatever your favorite red wine, and by also purchasing through One Hope Wine and the Ready Set Wine Company that Sharon is a part of, you will be giving back to this great cause. A portion of your purchase price will go towards helping fighting injustice across the world. So get your bottle of wine and sip for a cause. Go to the website, onehopewine.com. You see it right there on the screen in front of you, and you too will be able to support a great cause. So If you want more information, you can reach out to me and we'll get you that information as well. But let's now get right into our program. As I said to you, we are talking about getting that cash in your business, collecting that cash in your business. And we've got a revenue recovery specialist by the name of Dee Bowden with us today. Dee believes that small businesses fall prey to revenue losses because of poor accounting strategies. So she has made it her purpose to develop this 5-step program to revenue recovery. Now, not only is she a revenue recovery specialist, she's an author. She's part of 2 anthologies that she'll tell you about as we get into this conversation today. So as opposed to not trying to read her bio all the way through, I believe that our guests do a great job of doing their own broadcasting. So let's bring her up right now to the broadcast. She is none other than the revenue recovery specialist herself. This is Miss Dee Bowden. Dee, are you in the house?
I'm in the building. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you listen to this fabulous podcast around the world. I am Dee Bowden. Terrance, thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of the podcast and to talk to your listeners around the world. What an honor. I'm super excited to get into collect the cash. So as my good friend says, let's get after it.
Absolutely. And you know what? I love to be transparent. Thank you for rescheduling yourself to be on the broadcast. We had some scheduling difficulties last month, but I'm glad we were able to get you on this month because what you talk about is something that is relevant throughout the life cycle of a business. And before we get started, I want to just bring up this quote and then use that as the basis for our conversation. And the quote goes like this: if the ideal is good, cash will somehow flow to where it's needed. Let me say that again. If the ideal is good, cash will somehow flow to where it's needed. Now, in principle, Dee, that is a great statement. But as you know, with what you do as a revenue recovery specialist, yeah, the ideal can be good, but then the cash doesn't always flow the way it's supposed to flow and to where it is supposed to flow. Is that right or is that right?
Oh my gosh, that's like right squared and then squared again.
So you know what? Let's take a second first to introduce yourself properly to our Talking Small Business with Terrance audience. And then we're going to jump into breaking down that quote and your 5-step process to help businesses collect that cash.
All right. So who am I? I am Dee Bowden. I'm originally from Boston. I now live in the great state of Maryland. I am the founder and CEO of BCS Solutions. So fun facts about me. I love Ferris wheels, smooth jazz, great wine, and hot air balloon rides. Most people ask me, how did you get into doing what you do? And it starts off, as everything starts off, with a story. About 15 years ago, I worked for a small IT firm outside of Boston, where I'm from. They sold IT services. So they sold computers, they sold software licenses, they sold anything that had to do with a computer. When I got hired as a collector, they had $8 million worth of sales on the books, not in the bank. Let me say it again. They had $8 million worth of sales on the books, not in the bank. I'm a collector. I recover money. So I said, hey, Dee, here's your list of accounts. You need to get to work. Now, I happen to be a believer. So my story kind of goes like this. I was like, hey, God. And he goes, yes, Dee. I need some wisdom here because I don't know how you have $8 million worth of sales on the books and the money is not in the bank. To the point about the quote of, you might have a great idea, but the cash needs to follow through. Well, ideally, they had a great idea. They sold software licenses. They sold computers. They sold all this information. But unfortunately, somebody's dropped the ball. I truly believe that between sales, contracts, invoicing, order entry, collections, my lane, somebody forgot to make sure that the sale was complete and that the money was in the bank. So I get my accounts. I say my short prayer. I get to work and start recovering or figuring out how to recover this money. I recovered $6 million in 60 days while working part-time. So let me start again. $8 million worth of sales on the books, short prayer to God, recover $6 million in 60 days. Now, why I do what I do is because of this part of the story. After I recover the $6 million, the CEO of the company says, listen, we need to have a chat. I always say if you have a boo or a booette, when he or she says we need to have a chat, that's a clue or a clue for this is not about to be a good moment. So we all come downstairs. He says, listen, thank you, everybody across the entire company, about less than 100 people. Thanks so much for what you did. Appreciate everything. We've made an executive decision. We're closing the company. You've got 30 minutes to leave the building, 2 months before Christmas. So I'm sitting here like, what? Are you kidding? I thought it was a joke. They're like, no, we're not kidding. Like, really, we're out of business. You got to leave. You're done. After I picked myself up off the floor, I looked at the disconnects. I looked at what happened. I looked at what happened with sales and contracts and order entries and invoicing and my lane collections. They were great on the front end of sales, but they neglected the most important part in my lane, in my mind, which is collecting the money. They had the money on the books, but not in the bank. And so they were operating as if they had this money and they really didn't. And unfortunately, they closed the business. And this can happen to any small business or any business, period. If you keep thinking that you have money in the bank, but it's only on the books, which means the sale is not totally complete, meaning the orders haven't been fulfilled, deliverables haven't been processed. All the things that have to do with the sale, the entire sales process haven't transpired. And that's why BCS Solutions exists.
Wow, that is some type of story. And I think that really brings home the quote, they had all this money on the book. So clearly they had a good ideal, and clearly they thought that the cash flow would go where it needed to go. But they forgot about that other process. So break down, when you think about that quote, what do you feel is the missing piece in that quote?
Well, first thing that's missing is number one, they had a great ideal. That's great. But how did you track this ideal? I firmly believe that every small business needs to have a tracking system. So I'm going to do a variation of my 5 steps, but if you're listening, you'll get it. So yes, you have a great ideal. Everybody who starts a business says, oh yeah, my widget, my this, my that can be the best next thing into the marketplace. That's fantastic. Okay, great. Do you have a tracking system? Because this is how you really collect your money. You need to be able to have a tracking system. So number one, it looks like this. Old school Excel would be column number 1. What's the name of your customer? Column number 2. What's the name? What's the contract number or agreement number? Column number 3. How much is the contract for? Column number 4. What did they buy from you? Column number 5. When are you supposed to deliver it? Column number 6. When do you bill? Column number 7. When is the money due? If you start your business from what I just described, which is basically a basic tracking system, that's how you always know where you are with your cash flow. Because number one, if you only have one customer, that means you have one sale that you need to make sure it gets complete, and you need to make sure that you do all the things I just described. You know the name of your customer. You have a contract number. What do they buy from you? How much is the contract for? When are you supposed to deliver? When are you supposed to invoice? And then when are you supposed to get paid? If you do that, if you set your systems up correctly, you won't get caught like the story I told earlier, where they had all these accounts, but nobody was paying attention to the overall tracking system. That's the first thing I would teach you. Number one, if you want to be successful in business, you absolutely have to track your accounts, whether you have one account or many. That's the baseline. That's baseline step 1, no matter what.
Wow. So basically what you're saying is that if we use that quote, the cash flow, you want to make sure that as your cash flow is coming in like an ocean, that you have systems to make it flow like a river, so that you know where that flow is going. Otherwise, you're going to get overwhelmed. Does that sound about right?
That's exactly right. Because here's the thing. That's exactly what happened with this company. They had all this money coming in, all these sales, and they were like, oh yeah, we got it. But I contend that they dropped the ball and not making sure that the sale was complete and that the money was in the bank. That's the point that I talk about all the time. You can make all the sales that you want, and I encourage you to be exceptional in selling. Sell your ideal, sell it, and make sure that it is an ideal that solves a problem in the marketplace. That's why you go into business. Let me say this. Everybody who's listening, if you're in business or you want to be in business, you go into business to do one thing and one thing only, which is to make money. Now, you make money. Secondly, what you do is you solve a problem, but you can't solve a problem if your knowledge, skills, or abilities don't solve a problem in the marketplace. I saw the problem in the marketplace of recovering money because guess what? If you're in business and you have sales and you don't have any cash flow, you won't be in business long. That's why I'm the revenue recovery specialist, because I understand that you have to have sales, you have to have a contract, you have to have a product or service to sell, you have to bill for it or invoice for it, and you have to get paid. A lot of times people are like, well, why would I do that? Well, here's the thing. If you consider yourself in business, what I just described to you is what happens in business. Here's a great example. Everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice has a cell phone. How do I know this? Because everybody, unless you're under a rock, you got a phone. I can prove to you that this is what happens in business. Whoever you have your cell phone with, they sold you your cell phone, number one. Number two, how do I know this? Because you have the phone. Number two, you have a contract with them. How do I know this? Because you get an invoice from them every single month, and it talks about your plan, the phone, and terms and conditions. Number three, the order entry took place because you walked out of the store or you got it online with the phone. Number four, they bill you. And number five, my lane collections, you pay them, or they have this magic button that can disconnect the service if you don't pay your bill. So that
I think you just proved your point.
There you have it. That's what happens in business. So the cell phone example is for some people who may be like, well, I'm not there yet. Well, you have a cell phone. So if you take what I just described through the cell phone process, they sold you the phone. You have a contract with them because you get invoiced every single month. The order took place. You have a phone. You might have the watch. You might have the earbuds. You might have the charger. Don't care. You got a phone. Number four, they bill you, and number five, you pay them, and they, like I said, that magic button will disconnect you if you just decide you're gonna keep using the service and not pay for it. Not gonna happen. So that's how. There's proof of what happens in business every single day.
Absolutely. And to take that analogy a little bit further, as we talk about collecting the cash with our friend Dee Bowden on Talking Small Business with Terrance, you got to close that loop. You got to close that circle that says, even though the sales department made the sale, and even though you walk out of there with a phone and a bill of sale, you don't walk out of that door until that sales transaction is closed, i.e. you give them your credit card, or i.e. you give them that cash. That's what allows them to give you the phone. But now when we talk about a lot of other companies, they're dealing in products. But then there are companies that are dealing in services. There's companies like mine, coaching companies. There's speakers that a lot of speakers watch this show. There are people that provide online services where the service isn't provided until the transaction is completed. Or in many big businesses, they will provide the service and send you an invoice with the expectation that the sale is going to actually be closed. And between those two entities, where do you find businesses have the most problems? In the upfront getting the cash, or in the accounts receivables world?
Well, I'm in the accounts receivable world, so of course I'm gonna lean on that side. But to your point, it happens on both sides, and I'm thank you for reminding me to make sure that I add that point about the sales transaction, because that's the part of my cell phone example that I forgot to say, is that basically whether you're buying a cell phone or you just go shopping, how do I know that example just worked? Because basically you don't leave the store until you see on the register it says transaction approved. That basically says the sale is complete and the money is coming out of your account, is going into the store's account. That way it's complete. So that entire process I just described, thank you, Terrance, for that, because that's a piece that I forgot, but I know it. It's just like one of those, but it happens. So do I believe, I believe, number one, that if you are a speaker, as a matter of fact, it's so funny. I actually just did an article in Speakers Magazine with Pam Perry about this very thing. And I said, hey, I just spoke. Now, where's my cash? And I talked in the article about why do you need to make sure you have a contract for your speaking agreement? Number two, did you follow the instructions that they said about preparing your invoice and when you're supposed to submit it and what was required? And did you follow up? And I know that most people in speaking and coaching and business in general, most people would rather go get a root canal than have to go ask somebody for their money, because it's really uncomfortable. It's true. I mean, listen, I've been doing this a long time. I have heard enough stories. They're like, I'd rather get a root canal. Okay, I got it. But here's the thing. What you don't understand about collections is two things. Collections, number one, is problem solving. And number two is an extension of customer service. So if you are in business and you're providing a service or product, whether online or offline, you're responsible for making sure that customer's experience goes well all the way through you providing the service, you billing them, and then you getting paid. Now, I understand that most people are like, I don't want to mess up the relationship. Well, you won't mess up the relationship, number one, if you treat it with respect, number one. Number two, if you express gratitude. And number three, if you already have the relationship with the customer, why wouldn't you want to make sure that everything goes well so that you can get repeat business? Just a
That makes
thought.
great sense. That makes great sense, and I love how you break it down, because collections has a bad connotation in the business world, as well as either from the business or from the person that's being collected upon. Your the collections. When you hear the word collections, you're immediately hanging up the phone. You're immediately blocking that call. You're immediately all of a sudden is going straight to voicemail. But when you break it down to solving a problem and good customer service, then that makes it more tenable. That makes it easier to have that word roll off your palate, because that's basically what it is. You agreed that you agreed to a product or service, and now you have to honor that agreement by making the payment. Now, for whatever reason that it goes into collections for past due, or what if it goes into the collection department to receive, it's still closing that sale. And part of closing that sale is making sure that you provide great customer service throughout the process as a business, whether you're small or large, and then also making sure that you can resolve any problems that might come up in terms of closing that sale. And in part of your 5-step process, you talk about what's the problem. So talk a little bit about what may be the problem from a company standpoint that's not allowing them to close the sale.
Oh, sure. Number one, a problem that can happen to you very easily. You have a contract between yourself and the customer. Number one, here's a problem. Did you follow the instructions for preparing your invoice? Come on, D. I'm serious. Did you? Because in the contract, now again, I come from the corporate and government space, so I'm going to talk from that angle, but you'll get the idea. In your contract or agreement, it usually tells you how to prepare the invoice. They want it. Let's say it's a $10,000 contract, and you have to bill $2,000, $2,000, $2,000. All right. Did you first of all, did you follow the instruction and prepare the invoice correctly? That's number one. Number two, did you deliver the product or service that you said on the date you were supposed to deliver it? It's small things like that. And then also, do you have the right information on the invoice? What's the name of your customer? What's the contract number? How much is it for? Who are we supposed to send the invoice to? Did you go over all the details? People are like, are you serious, D? Listen, I have recovered and uncovered millions of dollars because of small details like this, because somebody forgot to put HQ00 whatever number, and they put an A instead of an F, and it got sent to the wrong department. And you're like, well, how come I didn't get paid? Because you didn't follow the instructions in the contract and put the information correctly and confirm that it got received. That's a major problem. Number two, if you're in salespeople are phenomenal. We love them because they're the ones that go after and bring in the business. Now, their job is to bring in the business. It's not always for them to make sure that all of the back end pieces, meaning the data, the contract, the invoice, the product, service, is all the way through, is all the way properly set up. That's the contract administrator's responsibility, is to make sure once a sale has happened, what happens on the back end. So you could have a sales order that went through, and you're looking up, you're like, okay, I ordered 10 sneakers. I only got 8. I'm not paying you for 10 sneakers when I only got 8. That's a problem. You got to solve it. That's when I said earlier about collections is problem solving and customer service. If I ordered 10 sneakers and I only got 8, that means the order was not fully completed. That means I'm not paying you for 10 sneakers. I'm only going to pay you for what I got. But I expect you, because I ordered my sneakers from you, that you were going to do everything in your power to get me my other 2 sets of sneakers quickly, so that I can pay you in full, so that we can close this transaction, and then I can order from you again. And then in our social media world, I can do a great review and say, oh my gosh, I ordered sneakers from such and such and such, and that was a great experience. I had no problems. They resolved it, etc. The importance of customer service in collections is paramount, because in the world that we live in today, all it takes is, just like we're live now, it takes a quick Facebook Live, quick Instagram Live for somebody to say they had a horrible experience. And next thing you know, your reputation is messed up. And it takes so long to untangle what could have been fixed if you don't go back and fix it. So when people talk to me about Well, how come you do this? Because I learned. I've been in collections and receivables management and contract administration for almost 20 years. I've learned through the school of hard knocks. I've also learned how to do this really well. I've been cited by or recognized by the United States Coast Guard headquarters for recovering $7.5 million in 1 year dealing with several different branches of the Navy. How did I do that? By the things I'm talking about. So doing customer service, resolving problems, tracking information. Here's my other special thing, saying thank you. Y'all be surprised that the two words, thank you, gratitude means a lot in business. You know why? Because you're showing respect to the other person on the other side of the phone or the live, because you recognize that in order for you to solve your problem so that you can get paid, you need that person on the other end to help you research your problem and help you solve it. And just taking a moment to say thank you for taking my call. Thank you for researching my invoice. Thank you for making sure that I get paid. You'd be surprised. Just saying thank you and following up with just that little thing is life changing. That's how I've been able to do. That's one of my secret sauces for how I do what I do.
And I love that. We're talking with Dee Bowden with BCS Solutions, helping you collect that cash on the Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge show. I love how you talk about just those basic, simple things. Are you looking at your processes? Are you looking at your contracts? Are you providing problem solving skills as well as good customer service? Are you saying the simple things like thank you to your customers? Because, if you're in this business just for one customer and one payday, then yeah, you can forget all the details. But if you're in this business for the long haul, where you're looking to build relationships that are going to last a lifetime of your business, then it's the little things, it's the details that make the difference between you making the sale and closing the sale, between you having your doors open and between you keeping your doors open. All those things make a difference as we are moving forward in the life of your business. But now, Dee, talk to us about, you work with mainly large businesses. What about small businesses? Can they utilize your services as well?
Absolutely. And I've worked with small, medium, and I work with small, medium, and large companies. Here's the thing for small businesses. The principles that I'm talking about today go whether you're small, medium, or large. If I've had customers that have had $1,000 worth of AR that's owed to them, and I had customers that have had millions of dollars of AR. It doesn't matter, because the principles are the principles. What's most important is that for a small business, which is why I'm focused on them, is that their cash flow is critical for them to keep moving. Corporations usually have large departments and large sales teams, and their cash flow isn't normally impacted. The reason why I'm talking to small businesses about tracking your accounts and knowing what's going on is that, number one, until you grow, I think the term is called scale, but I use it grow. But basically, you grow / scale, you have to be on top of everything, of every transaction that happens in your business. Number one, so that you can plan. You can't really plan as a small business until you know, how much money am I bringing in this month? Well, first of all, that you have to backtrack. How many sales did you have this month? You won't know how many sales you have until how many calls have you made? What have you done? So tracking, that's why I talked about that foundation about tracking what's going on. You need to be able to visually see where you are. So if you're a small business, if you're a small business of 1, 2, 150, doesn't matter. You got to know the state of your account. You have to know how many sales you have, how many customers do you have, what have you provided, when did you bill them, when are you supposed to get the money back, and what do you do if you're not getting paid? Number one, go back to your contract. Check to make sure you fulfilled everything that you and the customer said you were going to do. Number one. Number two, sometimes it's a very simple thing. Hi, I'm Dee with such and such company. May I speak with the person in accounts payable, please? Hold on. Hey, Susie, this is Dee. How you doing? Great. How are you? How the kids, the dog, the cat, the squirrel, all that. Listen, I got this invoice that's outstanding. This is literally how I do my call. I got the invoice that's outstanding, and I was just wondering, was there anything that I missed with the invoice? And then you pause. Hey, Dee, you know what? We got your invoice, and there was a typo on it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Could you do me a favor and send that back to me so I can correct it and resubmit it and get it back to you and fix the problem? Because number one, I want to apologize, for making that mistake, number one. Number two, I want to make sure that I don't do this again. So can you please show me where I missed it so that I can highlight for myself so I will not make this mistake again? And number three, thank you so much for taking my call and for showing me how I can improve my customer service with you, because your business is super important to me, and I don't want to lose this, and I want to thank you again for what you do. Can you please send it to me in an email? I will make sure that I confirm that I received it. I will address this, and I will send it back to you same day. That's how I that's how I do what I do. Real simple.
Well, that is some great information that you gave us, and I appreciate you. And unfortunately, we could talk about this all day. We could do a full webinar, full course on this, but we want to give them we want to give them just the snippets, and then have them reach out and get in contact with you so that they can get more information. So let's talk about that. How can they reach out to you and get more information about what you do as a revenue recovery specialist, and how you can help give them some tips and strategies, whether they're a small business or a large business, to be able to collect that cash?
Absolutely. But first of all, Terrance, I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be a guest on your show and to talk to your fabulous listeners. So, connecting with Dee Bowden, number one, go to www.collectthecash.biz. That's thecash.biz. Halfway down the page, there's a free gift. It's called Collect the Cash. It's 5 steps to it's 5 steps to secure your cash flow. So www.collectthecash.biz. Second way to get in touch with me is social media. I'm on LinkedIn is a great way to connect with me as a business owner. So business to business, definitely LinkedIn. Number 2, Facebook, and 3, Instagram. But www.collectthecash.biz. Halfway down the page, there's a free ebook. It's called Collect the Cash: 5 steps to secure your cash flow.
Absolutely. That is a fabulous, fabulous opportunity. And it's a free gift. And you can get more detail into what she's talked about in this show, that 5-step process to collect the cash in your business. So definitely go to www.collectthecash.biz. I just love that website. Who wouldn't want to collect the cash? So if you want to learn how to get better at collecting the cash in your business and closing that sales loop that many businesses forget about after they sign the contract, then you want to definitely reach out to Dee. And recognize that Dee is not only a revenue recovery specialist, she is a author, she is an expert, and you're part of 2 anthology books that are out there, right?
I am. I'm a part of Entrepreneur Elevation. It's 31 strategies to improve your company's impact, influence, and income with the fabulous Dr. Cheryl Wood. So that's one book. And then the second book I'm a part of is called Soul for Prayers, Volume 2. It's with Cheryl Pallot Williamson. And that is powerful, intentional communication with God. And so my prayer in Soul for Prayers, Volume 2 was called The Power to Forgive. Because sometimes, here's why I share this. Sometimes in business, you have to forgive yourself. Because sometimes you be like, I should have known not to do this.
Right.
This is, you're like, because sometimes you have that instinct, you're like, but you override it because you feel like, oh, I need to get this customer. But it's really important to pay attention to that small, quiet inner voice. Because sometimes you're like, no, this is not good. And here's the thing. I understand as a business owner, you always want to make good, solid, legal business decisions. And sometimes you override your gut because you think, okay, let me just get this. And then you realize you've just signed on this huge headache. And you're like, man, I wish I had not done that. But unfortunately, it happens. It's just like it happens in your personal life. It happens in your professional life. You get these signs. You're like, ooh, I wish I had listened. So the power to forgive is for you to sit down with yourself as a business owner and say, you know what? I've made some mistakes and I need to forgive myself, and I need to figure out what are the lessons I need to learn to not do this again.
Yes, absolutely. And recognizing that forgiveness is for you, not for the people that you are forgiving or the transgressions that may came your way, even if they came your way because of decisions you made. So sometimes we forget that we have to forgive ourselves as well. But with that book, Soulful Prayers, and Dee Bowden's chapter in The Power to forgive, you'll be well on your way to forgiving. And then you can go about the business of collecting that cash. Make sure you
Absolutely.
reach out to her at www.collectthecash.biz and you can take your business to the next level as well. Well, Dee, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad we were able to get you on to the show.
Absolutely.
Any last thoughts before we let you go today?
Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be a guest on your show. I'm super glad so we got to talk about Collect the Cash. Loved the quote, by the way. That was a great way to kick off the conversation. Like the twist. Definitely appreciate that. And again, to your listeners, free ebook, which is Collect the Cash. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Collect the Cash. 5 steps to secure. I'm sorry. 5 steps to secure your cash flow. www.collectthecash.biz.
Absolutely. And we want to shout out Aladdin Abdon, and forgive me, charge it to my tongue, not my head if I messed up your last name, but he's watching us in Egypt.
Oh,
He
cool.
loved the information. He said, keep in touch in case you're planning to come and visit Egypt. So definitely, Dee, you want to send Aladdin some information about how he can collect the cash, because this is not just for businesses local. This is for businesses worldwide, globally. We all need to have those tools, those tips and strategies so that we can collect the cash in whatever we do, wherever we are, right?
Absolutely. Thanks, Aladdin. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. So that is our time. Thank you so much for watching us here at Talking Small Business with Terrance Leftridge, where we help you move from being stuck into being unstoppable. Always tune in to us, and you can check out our podcast on great podcast platforms like Anchor FM, Google, Apple, and Spotify. So you can always, if you don't want to watch us, you can always listen to us by watching Talking Small Business with Terrance on our podcast platforms. And as always, wherever you are in the world today, you know what I say. Don't just make it a great day. Go out and collect that cash, and you'll be well on your way to making it an unstoppable day. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, audience. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Talking Small Business with Terrance show. Take care.
Take care.